The police lights painted the river red and blue. They flashed across the water, across the trees, across the faces of the people standing behind the yellow tape. No one spoke. No one moved. The only sound was the slow rush of the river and the quiet clicking of cameras. A blanket lay near the riverbank. Under it was someone everyone knew. Emma Lewis. Her name had already traveled faster than the lights. It moved through phones, through whispers, through hearts. People covered their mouths. Some cried openly. Some stood frozen, like they were afraid to believe what they were seeing. This was not how Emma was supposed to be found. Just hours ago, many still believed she would walk back into town, that she had gone somewhere to think, that she needed space, that she was safe. Now, the truth stood quietly beside the river, and the town of Willow Creek would never be the same again. As officers moved carefully, one question hung in the air, heavy and unanswered. How did a woman so kind, so loved, end up here? To understand that, you have to go back to the days when Emma Lewis was just Emma. Not a headline, not a warning, just a person with a gentle heart living a simple life. Willow Creek was a kind of town where mornings felt slow. Birds sang loudly. People waved even if they didn't know your name. Children rode bikes until the streetlights came on. Emma grew up here. She learned early how to be kind. Her parents taught her to say please and thank you, to help neighbors, to listen when someone spoke. Emma listened very well. She noticed things others missed. When someone was sad, Emma felt it. When someone needed help, Emma offered it before they asked. As a child, she loved animals. She once stayed up all night with a sick puppy, refusing to sleep until it was breathing better. Her parents knew then Emma had a heart that felt deeply. As an adult, she didn't change much. She chose to work at a daycare near her home. Every morning, children ran toward her like she was their favorite place in the world. Parents trusted her without question. Emma remembered every child's favorite toy, every fear, every smile. She made people feel safe. Her friends described her the same way. Emma just gets you, Lily often said. Lily had been Emma's best friend since high school. They shared secrets, dreams, and quiet walks through town. Emma didn't talk much about herself. She asked about others. That was who she was. For a long time, Emma was single. Not because she couldn't find someone, but because she wasn't in a hurry. She believed the right person would come along when the time was right. Then Ryan Cole came to town. He was quiet, polite, easy to miss. No one knew much about him. He worked different jobs. He kept to himself. He didn't cause trouble. At first, he barely spoke. He met Emma by chance. Ryan was dropping off his niece at the daycare one afternoon. Emma knelt down to help the little girl zip her jacket. She smiled and told her she looked brave. Ryan watched. There was something about the way Emma spoke. Soft, calm, warm. It made the world feel steady. "You're good with kids," he said. Emma smiled. "They're good with me, too." That was all. But Ryan came back. He found reasons to stop by. Coffee deliveries. Forgotten items. Small excuses. He asked Emma about her day. He remembered things she said. He listened closely. It felt nice. Emma wasn't used to being the center of attention. Ryan made her feel seen. He told her she was special. He told her she was different. No one had ever said it quite like that before. They started talking more, then going for walks, then sharing meals. Ryan didn't talk much about his past. He said it was complicated. Emma didn't push. She believed everyone deserved privacy. Her friends were careful at first. Ryan was quiet, almost too quiet. But Emma seemed happy. And Emma was smart. She knows what she's doing, Lily told herself. After a few months, Emma and Ryan became a couple. Ryan was thoughtful in small ways. He walked Emma home. He sent messages to make sure she arrived safely. He held her hand tightly. Emma thought that meant he cared. A year later, they moved in together. The house was small, but Emma made it warm. She hung photos. She brought plants. She laughed when Ryan said decorations didn't matter. At first, life felt calm, but calm can hide things. Slowly, Ryan began to change. Not in loud ways, in quiet ones. He asked questions that felt too sharp. Who were you with? Why didn't you answer right away? Emma answered gently. She didn't want to upset him. Then came comments. They don't really understand you. You don't need to go out so much. Emma started staying home more. She told herself it was fine. Relationships take work, she thought, but something inside her began to feel wrong. Ryan didn't like when Emma spent time with Lily. He became quiet afterward. He would stare at the wall. When Emma asked what was wrong, he said, "Nothing." But his silence felt heavy. Emma tried harder. She apologized more. She explained herself more. She laughed less. She stopped sharing small joys because she didn't want to start an argument, and without realizing it, she became smaller. Emma began writing in a notebook she kept hidden. She didn't tell anyone about it. In it, she wrote thoughts she was afraid to say out loud. "I feel nervous when it's quiet. I miss who I used to be." Some nights, she stared at the ceiling, wondering how love had begun to feel like Faye. But she also believed things could get better, because Emma believed in good. The night before she disappeared, Emma met Lily for dinner. Lily noticed something was wrong right away. Emma's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Are you okay?" Lily asked. Emma hesitated. "I think so," she said, but her voice shook. When they hugged goodbye, Emma held on a little longer than usual. That night, Emma sent Lily a message. "I don't know how to say this out loud, but something feels wrong." Lily replied right away. "Do you want to stay with me tonight?" Emma stared at the screen. She almost said yes. Almost. But Emma had always believed she could fix things. That kindness could heal. That staying was easier than leaving. "I'll be okay," she typed. And that was the last message Emma ever sent. The next morning, the town woke up without Emma. Her phone was still in the house. Her shoes were by the door. Her smile was missing. And the search began. Before the town ever said Emma Lewis's name in fear, it said her name with smiles. Emma was the kind of person people trusted without thinking. When she walked into a room, it felt lighter. Her laugh was soft and warm, like a gentle bell. She listened more than she spoke. When someone was sad, she noticed. When someone needed help, she showed up. She grew up in Willow Creek, a small town where everyone waved at each other and doors were often left unlocked. Emma believed that the world was mostly good because that was the world she had seen. Her parents raised her to be kind. They told her that kindness could fix most things. Emma believed them. As a child, Emma loved animals. She rescued birds with broken wings. She cried when a stray cat didn't come back. She believed every life mattered. That belief stayed with her as she grew older. When Emma became an adult, she chose a simple life. She didn't want big cities or loud places. She worked at a daycare not far from her home. Every morning, children ran toward her with open arms. Parents trusted her with their most precious thing, their kids, and Emma never let them down. Then, one quiet afternoon, Ryan Cole walked into her life. Ryan was new in town. No one really knew where he came from, only that he had moved in a few months earlier. He worked odd jobs, sometimes construction, sometimes delivery work. He didn't talk much about his past. At first, he seemed shy. He met Emma when he dropped off his niece at the daycare. Emma bent down to help the little girl tie her shoes. Ryan watched her smile at the child like the world was safe. "That's a nice thing you do," he said. Emma smiled back. "It's easy when you love it." From that day on, Ryan found reasons to come by, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to say hello. He asked Emma about her day. He remembered small things she said. Her favorite color, her favorite food, the book she was reading. It felt good to be noticed. Ryan told Emma she was special. He said the world was lucky to have someone like her. Emma had never been told that so clearly before. They started going for walks, then dinners, then long talks late into the night. Ryan always listened. At least, that's what it looked like. 6 months later, they were a couple. Friends said Ryan was quiet but nice. He didn't laugh much, but he smiled when Emma smiled. He held her hand tightly, like he was afraid to let go. Emma thought that meant love. They moved in together after a year. The house wasn't big, but it felt full. Emma hung pictures on the walls. Ryan liked things simple. He didn't care about decorations. At first, life felt normal, but slowly, things began to change. Ryan asked questions. "Who were you texting? Why did you come home late? Why do you need to go out again?" Emma laughed it off at first. She thought he was just curious. She thought he cared. Then the questions turned into comments. You don't need to see them so much. They don't really understand you like I do. I worry when you're not here. Emma started canceling plans. She stayed home more. She told herself it was fine. Love meant compromise, right? But something inside her felt tight. Ryan didn't like when Emma talked about work. He said the kids took too much of her energy. He said she should focus on him more. When Emma spent time with her best friend Lily, Ryan became quiet. He would sit and stare at nothing. When Emma asked what was wrong, he said, "Nothing." But his silence felt heavy. Emma started to doubt herself. Maybe she was doing something wrong. Maybe she wasn't being understanding enough. She tried harder. She smiled more. She apologized even when she didn't know why. But the house felt colder. One night, Emma came home 10 minutes late because a parent needed help. Ryan was sitting in the dark. "Where were you?" he asked. "At work?" Emma said gently. He didn't answer. He just looked at her. That look stayed with her. Emma started writing in a small notebook. She didn't tell anyone about it. In it, she wrote things like, "I feel nervous when it's quiet. I miss my friends. I don't know why I feel scared sometimes." She didn't write the word scared often. It felt too big. But it was there. The night before Emma disappeared, she had dinner with Lily. Lily noticed Emma was thinner, quieter. "Are you okay?" Lily asked. Emma smiled. "I'm fine." But her eyes didn't match her smile. That evening, Emma went home. Ryan was already there. He asked where she had been. "With Lily," she said. He nodded, too slowly. Later that night, Emma sent Lily a message. "I don't know how to say this out loud, but something feels wrong." Lily typed back right away. "Do you want to stay with me tonight?" Emma stayed at the message. She almost said yes. Almost. Instead, she typed, "I'll be okay." That was the last time anyone heard from her. The next morning, when police knocked on Ryan's door, he looked surprised. He said Emma had gone out for a walk. He said she needed space. He said she would be back. But when officers asked why her phone was still inside the house, Ryan paused. Just for a second. And sometimes, 1 second is all it takes for the truth to start showing. As police left, Ryan stood in the doorway, watching them walk away. His smile was gone. And somewhere, far away from the safety Emma believed in, a terrible truth was beginning to rise. By the third day, the town of Willow Creek no longer whispered. It talked. People stood outside grocery stores longer than usual. They spoke in quiet voices. They checked their phones again and again. Emma Lewis had not come home, and now everyone knew her name. Police cars drove slowly through the streets. Officers knocked on doors. They asked questions people never expected to answer. When did you last see Emma? Did she seem upset? Did she say she was going somewhere? Most people shook their heads. She was always smiling, one neighbor said. She waved every morning, another added. At the daycare, children asked where Emma was. They waited by the door. Some cried. Teachers didn't know what to say. They told the kids Emma was taking a few days off. But the adults knew better. Lily hadn't slept. She sat on her couch with her phone in her hand, staring at the last message Emma had sent. Over and over, she read the same words. "I don't know how to say this out loud, but something feels wrong." Lily felt sick every time she read it. She went to the police station early that morning. She told the officer everything. About the message. About how Emma had changed. About the fear she had seen in Emma's eyes. The officer wrote it all down. Meanwhile, Ryan Cole stayed in the house. He told police he was helping by staying available. He said he was worried. He said he loved Emma. But the house felt strange. Police officers noticed things. Small things. Emma's shoes were still by the door. Her purse was on the table. Her notebook was missing. Ryan said he didn't know where it was. An officer asked, "Did Emma ever talk about leaving?" Ryan shook his head. She was happy. But when he said it, his voice sounded tight. Police left again. They said they would return. Ryan locked the door behind them. The quiet inside the house felt loud. That afternoon, volunteers gathered to search nearby woods and trails. People wore bright vests. They called Emma's name. They hoped she would answer. Emma did not answer. As the sun went down, the search became harder. Flashlights moved like fireflies in the dark. Lily walked with a group near the river. She called Emma's name until her voice hurt. "Emma, please." Nothing came back, except the sound of water. The next morning, police returned to Ryan's house with a warrant. They searched carefully. In the bedroom, they found Emma's notebook under the mattress. Inside were her thoughts. "I feel smaller every day. I don't recognize myself. I'm afraid to upset him." The last page had only one line. "If something happens to me, please know I tried to be brave." When the officer closed the notebook, the room felt heavy. They took Ryan in for questioning. At the station, Ryan sat straight in his chair. His hands were calm. His face showed no fear. "Tell us about the night Emma disappeared," the detective said. Ryan took a deep breath. "We had dinner," he said. "We talked. She said she needed air. She went for a walk." "What time?" "Around 9. Did you go with her?" "No. She wanted to be alone." The detective nodded slowly. "And her phone?" "She must have forgotten it." The detective leaned forward. "Ryan, Emma loved her phone. She never went anywhere without it." Ryan didn't answer. The detective continued. "Neighbors saw your lights on until after midnight." Ryan swallowed. "I couldn't sleep." Hours passed. Questions repeated. Ryan's story stayed the same. But small crack began to show. He couldn't explain why Emma's jacket was still in the closet. He couldn't explain why her notebook was hidden. He couldn't explain why his car had fresh dirt on the tires. Police released him that night, but they kept watching. Outside the station, reporters waited. "Is Emma Lewis alive?" someone shouted. Police didn't answer. That night, Lily sat in Emma's childhood bedroom with Emma's parents. The room still smelled like Emma's shampoo. Her mother held Emma's sweater and cried. Her father stared at the wall, silent. Lily told them everything. The notebook, the fear, Ryan's control. Emma's mother whispered, "Why didn't she tell us?" Lily had no answer. Sometimes people don't speak because they hope things will get better. The next day, a hiker found something near the river, a piece of fabric. Police closed the area. The search became serious. Dogs were brought in. Tape went up. Officers spoke in low voices. Lily stood behind the tape, shaking. Emma's parents arrived. They held hands. Ryan arrived too. He stood alone. When police asked him to leave, his jaw tightened. "What's going on?" he asked. An officer replied, "We're investigating." Ryan laughed softly. "You're wasting time." That laugh did not sound normal. By evening, police found Emma's shoe. Then another. The river moved quietly, as if it knew something. Police did not allow anyone closer. Lily felt her knees give out. Emma's mother screamed. Ryan stood still. That night, police arrested Ryan. The town watched as he was led away in handcuffs. Some people cried. Some people were angry. Some people felt sick. Ryan looked straight ahead as cameras flashed. He did not look back. But even as Ryan was taken away, police knew the truth was not fully known yet. They still had to find Emma, and the river kept its secrets. The river was quiet that morning. Too quiet. Mist floated above the water like a thin blanket. The sun tried to shine through, but it felt weak, as if it did not want to see what was hidden below. Police officers stood along the riverbank. Some stared at the water. Some looked at the ground. No one spoke loudly. They already knew. Search dogs pulled toward one spot again and again. Divers slowly stepped into the cold water. Every movement was careful. Every breath felt heavy. Lily stood far back with Emma's parents. Her hand shook. She kept telling herself that maybe this wasn't it. Maybe they would find nothing. Maybe Emma would still come home. But deep inside, Lily felt the truth pressing on her chest. After a long time, one of the divers stopped moving. The river did not make a sound. An officer raised his hand. Everything stopped. When they brought Emma out of the water, the world seemed to break in half. Emma's mother screamed and collapsed. Her father held her, crying openly now. Lily felt like she could not breathe. Her legs would not move. Emma looked small, too small, wrapped in a blanket, carried carefully, as if kindness could still reach her. The town of Willow Creek changed forever in that moment. News spread fast. People cried in their homes. Some sat in silence. Some held their children tighter that night. Doors were locked. Lights were left on. The police station became busy. Very busy. Ryan Cole was brought back in for questioning. This time, things were different. Evidence was waiting. Mud from the riverbank matched the dirt on his car tires. Emma's notebook told a story of fear. Security cameras showed Ryan driving toward the river late that night. When detectives laid everything out, Ryan stared at the table. He said nothing. They asked again. Still nothing. Finally, one detective said quietly, "Emma trusted you." Ryan's hands clenched. Something changed in his eyes. "She pushed me," he said suddenly. The room went silent. "She didn't listen," he continued. "I was trying to help her." The detective's voice stayed calm. "Help her how? Ryan." Ryan looked up, angry now. "She wanted to leave. She was breaking us." The detective nodded slowly. "And that gave you the right to hurt her?" Ryan didn't answer. The truth came out in pieces. Ryan had followed Emma that night. They argued by the river. Emma tried to leave. What happened next could never be undone. Ryan spoke without emotion, like he was talking about the weather. When he finished, no one moved. One officer quietly left the room. Ryan was charged. The town watched the court case begin. Emma's picture was everywhere. Smiling, kind, alive in memory. People filled the courtroom every day. They wanted to understand how this could happen. How someone who looked normal could do something so terrible. Emma's parents sat in the front row. Lily sat beside them. Ryan never looked at them. Witnesses spoke. Lily spoke. Her voice shook as she read Emma's last message. "I don't know how to say this out loud, but something feels wrong." The courtroom was silent. Experts explained how control can hide behind love, how fear can grow slowly, how people don't always see danger until it is too late. Emma's parents listened with broken hearts. They wished Emma had told them everything. They wished love had been enough. Ryan was found guilty. When the judge spoke the sentence, no one cheered. No one smiled. Nothing felt like a victory, because Emma was still gone. After the trial, Willow Creek felt quieter than ever. The daycare closed for a day. Children held drawings they had made for Emma. Crayon hearts, stick figures, smiles. Lily helped Emma's parents clean out Emma's house. Every object hurt. A mug, a sweater, a book with a folded page. In Emma's drawer, they found a letter she had never sent. It said, "I hope one day people understand that being kind doesn't mean being weak. I tried to see the good in everyone. Maybe that was my mistake. But I still believe kindness matters." Lily cried as she read it. Emma's parents kept the letter. They decided to start something new. A small place by the river was turned into a park. A bench with Emma's name. Flowers planted every spring. A sign that read, "Be kind, be brave, trust your voice." People began visiting the bench. They sat quietly. They thought about Emma. The town slowly learned to talk about hard things. About fear. About warning signs. About listening when something feels wrong. Emma's story became a lesson. Not one of fear, but of awareness. And though the river still flowed, and time moved forward, Emma's kindness did not disappear. It stayed. In every child she once helped. In every person who learned to speak up. In every moment someone chose safety over silence. But even as the town tried to heal, one final truth remained heavy in the air. Love should never hurt. And silence can be dangerous. Time moved forward, but it did not move easily. In Willow Creek, days still came and went. The sun still rose. Cars still drove past the same streets. But nothing felt the same anymore. Emma Lewis was gone, but her name stayed everywhere. People spoke it softly, like they were afraid it might break. At the small park by the river, the bench with Emma's name became a quiet place. Some days, flowers were fresh and bright. Other days, the flowers were gone, taken by wind or rain. But someone always brought more. Emma's mother came often. She sat on the bench with her hands folded in her lap. Sometimes she talked out loud, telling Emma about small things. What she cooked for dinner. What the neighbors said. How the garden was growing. Sometimes she just sat in silence. Emma's father came too, but not as often. When he did, he stood instead of sitting. He looked at the water. He never cried there. He cried at home, when no one could see. Lily tried to return to normal life. She went back to work. She answered messages. She smiled when she needed to. But at night, when everything was quiet, her mind went back to Emma. She remembered Emma's laugh, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way she always asked, "Are you okay?" Lily kept Emma's notebook with her now. The police had returned it. Lily read it slowly, one page at a time. She didn't read it to feel pain. She read it to remember. In the notebook, Lily saw how Emma had slowly changed, how her words went from hopeful to unsure, how fear crept in quietly, like a shadow. Lily promised herself something. She promised that if she ever felt that tight feeling in her chest again, if something ever felt wrong, she would speak, loudly, and she promised she would help others speak too. At the daycare, the children still asked questions. Is Emma coming back? The teachers didn't lie. They said, Emma loved you very much, and she would want you to be safe and kind. The children drew pictures. Some were happy, some were sad. One little boy drew a big heart with Emma's name inside it. They hung the drawings on the wall. Ryan Cole sat alone in a cold place far from Willow Creek. Days there were long. Nights were longer. Sometimes he lay awake staring at the ceiling. Sometimes he closed his eyes and saw Emma's face. Not the face from the end. The face from the beginning. The one that trusted him. He pushed those thoughts away. Outside, the world moved on. But not really. News shows talk about Emma's case. Experts explained warning signs again and again. People listened. Some recognized themselves in the story. Some felt scared. Some felt angry. And some felt seen. Messages started coming to Lily. Strangers wrote to her. I was in a relationship like that. I didn't know it was wrong until I heard Emma's story. I left because of her. Lily read every message with shaking hands. Emma was still helping people. Even now, Emma's parents decided to speak publicly, not because it was easy, but because it mattered. At a small community meeting, Emma's mother stood at the front of the room. Her voice was soft but steady. My daughter was kind, she said, but kindness does not mean silence. If something feels wrong, please tell someone. People listened. Some cried. Some nodded. After the meeting, a young woman waited until everyone else left. She walked up to Emma's mother and whispered, Thank you. I needed to hear that. Emma's mother held her hand. Healing was slow. Some days were better. Some days were worse. Lily still had moments when she reached for her phone to text Emma. Sometimes she dreamed Emma was still alive. In those dreams, Emma smiled and said everything was okay. Waking up hurt. One evening, Lily walked alone by the river. She stood near the bench but didn't sit. The water moved quietly, just like it always had. She felt angry, not just at Ryan, but at the world. Why didn't someone notice sooner? Why didn't Emma leave earlier? Why didn't love protect her? The river did not answer. Lily whispered, I'm sorry. The wind moved through the trees. At home, Lily began writing. She wrote about Emma, about warning signs, about fear that grows slowly. She didn't know what she would do with the words yet. But she wrote anyway, because silence had already taken too much. Emma's parents started a small fund in Emma's name. It helped people leave unsafe homes. It paid for counseling. It helped people feel less alone. They called it the Emma Project. It was small, but it mattered. One afternoon, Lily received a letter. No return address. Inside was a short note. I watch these stories. I see myself, but I'm still scared. Lily held the letter for a long time. She didn't know who wrote it, but she knew what it meant. Somewhere, someone was standing at the same edge Emma once stood on, and that meant the story was not over. Not yet. That night, Lily sat at her desk and opened Emma's notebook one more time. She added a page. For anyone reading this, you are not weak for being afraid, and you are not alone. Outside, the town slept, the river flowed, and somewhere, unseen and unknown, choices were still being made. Some would lead to safety, some would not, and the lesson Emma left behind was still unfolding, quietly, slowly, one voice at a time. The letter stayed on Lily's desk for a long time. She read it again and again. I watch these stories. I see myself, but I'm still scared. Lily knew that fear. She had seen it in Emma's eyes. She had felt it in her own chest when Emma said, "Something feels wrong." That letter meant one thing. Someone else was standing where Emma once stood, and Lily could not ignore that. The next morning, Lily woke up early. She didn't rush. She made coffee. She sat quietly and thought. Emma had believed kindness could save people. Lily believed that too. But now she also believed something else. Kindness had to be loud sometimes. Lily began sharing Emma's story more openly. She didn't use big words. She didn't try to sound important. She spoke the way Emma would have, soft, honest, and clear. She spoke at schools. She spoke at community centers. She spoke to small groups of people who sat quietly and listened. She told them how control doesn't always look scary at first, how it can look like care, how it can sound like love. She said, "If someone makes you feel small, that's not love." People nodded. Some cried. After one talk, a young girl waited behind. She was very quiet. Her hands shook. "I think I need help," she whispered. Lily stayed with her until help arrived. That night, Lily cried. But this time, her tears were different. They were not just pain. They were purpose. Emma's parents watched all of this from a distance. They were proud, but they were still tired. Grief does not leave quickly. It stays. It changes shape. Some days, Emma's mother woke up and forgot, just for a second. Then she remembered. Some days, Emma's father walked past Emma's room and felt like he had been punched in the chest. But they kept going. They kept the Emma Project alive. They answered letters. They listened to stories. They told people, "You are not alone." One evening, they received a message from a woman in another town. "I left because of Emma." Emma's mother held the phone to her chest. "She's still saving people," she whispered. The park by the river changed too. More people came. Some sat quietly. Some left flowers. Some brought their children and explained why the bench mattered. "This is where we remember to speak," one mother told her daughter. The river kept flowing. Ryan Cole faded from the news. He became a name in a file, a case number, a story people talked about less and less. But the lesson did not fade, because this story was never just about him. It was about Emma, and about the people who came after her. One afternoon, Lily received another letter. This one was longer. "I was scared to leave. I thought love meant staying. But I heard Emma's story, and I realized love should not hurt. I left last night. I am safe." Lily cried again. She wrote back, "You were brave." That night, Lily dreamed of Emma. Emma was standing in the sunlight. She looked peaceful. She smiled. "You're doing okay," Emma said. Lily woke up with tears on her pillow, but she was smiling too. Weeks passed, then months. Willow Creek slowly learned how to breathe again. Not the same way, but enough. Emma's name became a reminder, a warning, a promise. The daycare reopened with a new mural on the wall. Children painted it. It showed a big heart in the words, "Kindness is strong." Lily stood and watched the kids paint. She thought about how Emma loved children, how Emma believed in good. And Lily knew something now. Emma's story did not end at the river. It continued in every person who chose to speak, in every person who trusted their voice, in every person who left when something felt wrong. This was not just a true crime story. It was a human story, and it was still happening. Somewhere right now, someone is reading a message they don't understand yet. Someone is feeling scared but doesn't know why. Someone is telling themselves it's not that bad, and maybe, just maybe, this story will reach them in time. That is why these stories are told. Not to scare, but to protect. Not to judge, but to understand. Not to relive pain, but to prevent it. Emma believed kindness mattered. Now the world knows something else too. Kindness, when paired with courage, can save lives. And if you are listening right now, if something in the story feels familiar, please remember this. You are not weak. You are not alone. And it is okay to ask for help. If this story moved you, if Emma's voice stayed with you, white right pointing backhand index, subscribe to hear more real stories that matter. Thumbs up sign like this video to help it reach someone who may need it. Speech balloon comment below what message stood out to you the most. Repeat button share this story. You never know who it might help. Your support helps these stories save lives.